Right, it's confirmed. Everton have been deducted 10 points in the Premier League. What does this mean for them, and also the implications for City and Chelsea as well as they're further investigated? I'm AGT, I'm here with James B, the man in the know with the knowledge to react to this story. If you're liking this video, before we even get into it, smash that like button. James, what a historic day in the Premier League. Have we ever seen anything like this? Let me just bring you up to date on what's happened so far. So Everton were deducted 10 points in the Premier League. It currently sits them now joint bottom of the Premier League with 4 points. Now, it was because of irregularities with the payments on the stadium. And this has obviously led to them being deducted 10 points. They have released a statement. I wanted to read that out to you, James, and then get your reaction. Everton Football Club is both shocked and disappointed by the ruling of the Premier League's commission. The club believes the commission has imposed a wholly disproportionate and unjust sporting sanction. The club has already communicated its intention to appeal the decision to the Premier League, and the appeal process will now commence, and the club's case will be heard by an appeal board appointed pursuant to the Premier League's rules in due course. It goes on to say that the club will also monitor with great interest the decisions made in other cases concerning the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules as well. Everton cannot comment on this matter until the appeal process is concluded. How do you react to this, James?
Let me start by saying who I really feel sorry for in all this, and that's Everton fans. Because as football fans, all you do is, you pay your tickets or you buy your merch, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just support from a distance. Whatever it is you do, you support your club and you just want to watch your team play. And there will be a sense and a feeling of not all that work for nothing, because they've actually had a good start to the season. They've started picking up results where they were performing well before, but they weren't getting the results. Now they're starting to pick up results. And actually picking up those results mean that they've actually still managed to stay in touch with that 3. They're not even bottom, despite the point deduction. But that will feel like all that hard work's kind of been ripped from them, and that will be very... Look, the fans don't get a say on what happens behind the scenes. So I want to say I feel for them. If this happened to Arsenal, I'd be so furious because, we don't get a say in all that. Now, I really like that line in the statement you've just read. We will be watching with great intrigue, or to paraphrase, what happens with other investigations. As will we.
Of course we will.
Because everything I say, and I need people to understand this, I'm not saying he's guilty, she's guilty, this club's done this. I'm not saying anything like that. But if you are going to impose a 10-point penalty on Everton, anything that is equal or worse must be punished accordingly. And so I was on the DR Sports, the live yesterday, preview, and I sort of, it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I said, well, what about stripping trophies? If certain clubs are seen, that might be too far for some people, but what I'm really trying to say is you've got to hit them where it hurts. That's how you set a precedent. Not going to a club like Everton, I know Everton are a big club, but it's not as big a story as if it were done to a team chasing a title, or a team chasing Champions League football. But you have to have that consistency. You can't treat anyone differently. So I am also very interested to see what happens in future investigations after the punishment they've delivered to Everton.
Yeah, Everton, as we know, immediate 10-point deduction. There was no real deliberation around this. It was bang. We know that English top-flight clubs are permitted to lose 105 million over 3 years, and an independent commission found that Everton losses from 21 to 22 amounted to 124.5 million. So they've kind of gone over the limit there by around about 20 million, give or take. The punishment is the biggest in sporting sanction in the competition's history, and as we said, leaves Everton 19th now.
Well, and to come in on that, a lot of people say FFPs are fast. Some people don't agree it should exist. Some people say it doesn't do what it's meant to do. This is the people in power saying, oh, we're going to show you it does what it's meant to do, and we're going to make a point here. Now, we have seen a transfer ban for Chelsea over a summer. We have seen little bits of punishment here and there, but this is by far the biggest. And what I also think they need to do is, again, we said it on the live the other day, we know that things behind the scenes go on, from tapping up players. That used to be illegal. Now it doesn't really seem to be a problem.
The lines have blurred on that one, for sure.
The lines are blurred massively on all that. You're now praising managers for doing a lot of work in the build-up to a transfer. You never used to be able to do build-up in the work, in the work of a transfer. You then got other situations around FFP where you go, if a club is spending outside their means, can an owner just drop as much money as they need to into a club to make? Maybe they can do that. How much do they have to declare? It's very complicated, people. It's very complicated. I'm not trying to explain it in a way in which I understand it, but what I do know is a lot of stuff is just a bit. This doesn't feel right. Whatever. And if they're going to lay the law with certain things, they have to be consistent on it with everyone.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of everyone, as we know, there are other investigations ongoing right now. As we know, Chelsea could face further scrutiny from the football's authorities over reports of payments connected to the club's former owner, Roman Abramovich. Chelsea were fined $8.6 million by the European football governing body UEFA in July for submitting incomplete financial information between 2012 and 2019. As we know, Manchester City are another club who currently face over 100 alleged rule breaches from 2009 to 2018 as well. There's been some fairly hyped up headlines today that say, well, Chelsea and City are going to be relegated if they are found guilty of all of these charges. Carragher has come out today and said it's very excessive and not right, the deduction for Everton. Everton fans have come out today and rallied against the authorities and said, well, we'll still stay up. We'll show them what really this means to us in terms of, still being able to stay up. It does change things because now teams that were relegated last season are also potentially suing Everton. But I wanted to go through this. It's the relegation chances before and after Everton's points deduction. Before, 3.5% likely to go down this season, Everton. These stats are according to Sky Sports, by the way. It's now 34.1, so that's a tenfold increase on their chances of staying in the league, or a decrease, which way you want to look at it. Burnley are also affected, but not so much. Sheffield United are, for example, Luton, they were 77.8% before, they're now 70%, and Bournemouth's chances have definitely increased of staying in the league due to this as well. 2 questions. Will Everton still stay up?
Yes.
I actually agree with you, and let us know in the comments what you believe. I, for some reason, do think that this will actually galvanise them and they will stay up, in my opinion, now. But what now happens in the other cases that are currently ongoing between Chelsea and City?
Okay, so on whether they stay up, I said yes, just very sort of off the cuff there. I do. If you're using the analogy of a race, which is what a 38 game Premier League season is, they all started here and Everton got away from everyone else. They've just been pulled back to here. But there is still 2/3, if not more, of the season, about 3/4 of the season still to go. They'll pull away again. I think they're level. They're still above on goal difference, so they're level with Sheffield United at bottom, I believe, or Burnley. I can't remember.
Burnley,
right? And then a point and 2 behind. The others in front, they've got to chase. Listen. They've been finding their feet, Everton, in terms of results. Like, this won't change the results on the pitch and the way Everton have been playing. They've not scrapped results from them, and you can't take from them the rhythm they've been playing with, the momentum they've built, the belief in Sean Dyche, the work he's done. They just have to do that a little bit more, but they'll be fine. Is that right? I'm not saying it is, but and this is just a theory, perhaps a very cynical one, I can't help but think this might have been an easier punishment to deliver, knowing that they'd probably not really suffer too much for
Whereas
it.
if they did it last season, it definitely would have sent them down.
The cynical one in me, that none of that is not fact before you run away with that. It just feels a little like, well, they'll probably be okay. So maybe this is the time to make the example. So then you go on to the other clubs, what it means for their investigations. I don't know, but there's eyes on it now. There are
Massive
eyes on it more than
now.
ever before, and there is going to be an expectation to deliver. And by deliver, it means we're talking 115 charges for Man City. Well, what's the punishment for one? If one is proven true.
And if you've thrown the book at Everton, you might have to throw the whole library.
Right.
Manchester City.
And I hear
Chelsea
City, some of these 115, a lot of them might not be that big a deal. A lot of them might be slap on the wrist type things. Yeah. But all I will say is there are eyes like never before on it. And
we're watching.
And there are several examples. Barcelona being investigated out in Spain for stuff. There is a lot going on in the world of football. I hate it. I feel like it's a real stain on our game. And we know that this isn't, the cleanest of industries whatsoever. But it feels like, what I really hope is that if the authorities are getting tough, that they are consistent. Don't get tough when you feel like it. That does no good. That actually makes it worse. If you're going to get tough on these things, then do it and be consistent with it. That is all I ask. And of course, more details will emerge, and the investigation will be looked at even more, and we see where we're left. But this is a punishment beyond. Listen, we've seen transfer bans, and that felt like a big deal. Oh my God, Chelsea can't spend 100 million this summer. This is like, well, we're directly impacting your season right now. We're sticking you in a relegation battle and a lot deeper in it. So it's a big one.
They're expected to appeal the decision.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll be successful?
Well, again, and my knowledge is really blurry on this. I live with my cousin who's Italian, big Inter Milan fan. You'll have seen on DR Sports, the Inter Milan fan who barely celebrated when they scored. He is a fan, though. And he was saying that Juventus have had a bit of I think last season, some wrongdoing. They had points deducted, but then they got those points back on appeal. So this might be a bit of a yo-yo thing. I don't know how it will compare, and of course it's different people dishing out the punishments and managing the process differently. But that's not to say that Everton don't get these points back at some point. And again, the cynical man in me goes, do they make this point only to then give them back to send a bit of a warning? Because actually then that's easier than doing the really hard thing against Chelsea and City. Lawyers get involved and all that. It's really murky stuff. I don't think this is the end of it. I don't think it's 10 points off and we move on. I think this goes on.
You mentioned lawyers. Burnley, Leeds and Leicester have confirmed their intention to sue Everton for a total of 300 million after the club were found guilty of breaking the financial fair play rules. That's Matt Hughes at the Daily Mail. Again, this is probably just the start. We want your opinion in the comments now. What happens to Everton? Do they successfully appeal the ban or the points deduction, I should say? What now happens to City? What now happens to Chelsea? And if you are out in Liverpool tonight, wrap up, because in some parts of Merseyside, it's -10. I've been AGT. He's been James B. We'll see you next time. Take care.